Okay, let's dive right in. We're tackling a massive question today, one that probably keeps a lot of you up at night. Why is it that all those systems, all those processes and rules you've so carefully built, why do they so often feel like they're just waste paper? We're going to break down that journey from maddening internal friction to real, actual exponential growth. Does this feel familiar? You roll out a new system, a new set of rules, and it's all supposed to create clarity and drive results. But instead, you just get more blame games, more delays, more roadblocks. If you're nodding along right now, trust me, you are definitely not alone. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the problem, what we're calling the management death spiral. Then we'll hit the big turning point, a massive paradigm shift. After that, we'll get into the new tools you need, the engine that powers it all, and we'll wrap up with the big choice you have to make. So let's get right to the heart of it. You've probably tried it all, right? You've brought in the so-called advanced management systems, your KPIs, your OKRs. You've done the whole digital transformation thing. But the company still feels stuck. So why isn't it working? This right here, this is the critical trap. The illusion is that we just need to tighten the screws, right? More rules, stricter KPIs, better software. But the reality, as I'm sure many of you have found out the hard way, is that this just creates more red tape. Decisions grind to a halt, and every department builds up its own walls. There's actually a name for this problem, the game theory black hole. This is the absolute core reason why traditional management so often fails. It's what happens when every department is basically at war with every other department, all fighting for their own goals, creating this vortex of internal conflict that just sucks the life out of the entire company. And this slide, this is the battlefield. You have these 9 things scattered across all your different departments. Finance is trying to slash costs. Sales is trying to boost revenue at all costs. And production is just trying to maintain quality. Everyone is chasing their own local optimum, and the result is a company-wide traffic jam, total gridlock. And this all leads to a pretty chilling conclusion. If the fundamental incentive game doesn't change, then it doesn't matter what system you use. Your people aren't really working for you. They're just acting for you. They're putting on a performance to hit their numbers. So the real question is, how do you change the game itself? Well, that brings us to the big turning point. The solution isn't just another system or a better process. It's a fundamental shift in thinking. It's about moving away from a control-push mindset and embracing an ecosystem-pull reality. Just look at the difference here. The old model, the one we all know, is built on a foundation of distrust. It assumes people have to be controlled and pushed to do their work. The new model, it flips that completely. It believes that if you build the right kind of ecosystem, the system itself will naturally pull everyone forward, creating organic exponential growth. And the ultimate goal here, it isn't to hire better managers. The goal is to reach a state of zero management, a state where the company runs on a powerful self-operating model that follows natural ecological laws. It's about engineering the engine, not just hiring more people to push the car. Okay, that all sounds amazing in theory, but how in the world do you actually do it? Well, part 3 is where we get practical. We're going to introduce the core tools you need to make this shift happen. First up is something called the TDF triangle. The best way to think about this is like a GPS for your company. T is for target, but we're not just making up goals here. We're modeling them on what's been proven to work by global benchmarks. D is for drive, which means you're operating based on the deep laws of growth, not just surface level data. And F is for flywheel, creating a system where resources automatically flow, like water, to the places where they'll create the most value. Now, this second tool is a radical idea. It's called inverse performance. You know how traditional performance reviews are always backward-looking, right? They're like a report card on what's already done. Inverse performance is a forward-looking partnership. The rules for how everyone shares in the success, the profits, the promotions, the equity, are all set ahead of time. It's a real-time incentive system. And when you combine these tools, the result is absolutely profound. You're no longer just managing workers. You're now collaborating with dedicated business partners who are genuinely personally invested in the company's success, because the system is designed for exactly that. Okay, so we've seen the tools in the toolbox. Now let's look at the engine itself. This framework is the deep-down operating system that powers this entire ecosystem. Let's break down how this incredible idea actually works. And let's be super clear. This is not just another way of setting goals like OKRs. This is a complete navigation system specifically designed to find and leverage the paths to exponential growth, not just incremental growth. We're playing a totally different game here. So the system is built on 3 layers. At the bottom, you have the foundation. That's the core flywheel logic that builds momentum. On top of that is the execution layer, which is all about rapid iteration and compounding your wins. And finally, you have the protective layer, which acts like an ecological moat, defending your advantages so that your growth can be sustained over the long haul. Now, within that system, growth happens by leveling up through 6 sequential tiers. Think of it like a video game. Each tier is a new stage of breakthrough, moving from building the base to dominating the market. This step-by-step process makes sure that every bit of your team's energy is focused laser sharp on the single most important thing to keep that flywheel spinning faster. No more wasted effort. And here's the beautiful part. When you get this engine running, the ecosystem itself pulls everyone forward. All that constant pushing, nagging, and micromanaging from leadership, it just becomes unnecessary. The system itself does the heavy lifting. So all of this brings us to the end, which really isn't an end at all. It's a choice. You can stay trapped in the internal conflicts of a prisoner's dilemma where everyone loses, or you can step up and start playing an infinite game of growth. The ultimate philosophy here is that the very best management feels like no management at all, but that doing nothing isn't about being lazy. It's the end result of building an incredibly precise, powerful underlying system that runs itself based on the natural laws of growth. And so that leaves you with this final question. Are you going to continue to exhaust yourself and your team fighting tooth and nail for that 10% incremental growth every year? Or are you ready to plug into a totally different kind of system, a decentralized ecosystem that's actually designed for an exponential explosion? Because let's face it, the companies of the future aren't going to be these walled-off fortresses. They're going to be dynamic, interconnected ecosystems. And understanding how to build that flywheel, that self-propelling system, that's not just a competitive advantage anymore. It's your ticket to the future.